Morning everybody, welcome to Stockradar Stocks on the Move for another week. Today's date is the 23rd of March 2023. Well, what a week. We're on for another ride today. Don't be surprised, this is the real stock market. Don't forget, markets are people. They're dominated by how people think and how they react. When stocks get hit, we pull in our horns, focus on existing trends and get set for any new setups. We just respond to the market as it develops. So this is the cycle, and that's the process. We are focusing on some new tourism, health, transport, and tech trends right now. It's a smattering across the market, not a lot of breadth in the market, but there are a few there running there. So firstly, let's have a look at the top 10 for the moment. We've got Auckland International Airport up the top there. It's flying pretty high. It's just made some new highs. It'll have interesting day today, but these are the top 10 from last Friday. EBO, WiseTech's in there, Pro Medicus, Steadfast, Altium's also in there, AP Eagers, BlueScope, Champion Iron, and also FPH, another health stock. So that's your top 10 for the moment. That's how they look. And the spread is really across the board here. We have 3 health stocks in there and a couple of consumer and commercial services sectors. But the rest really are cons, discs, metals and minings. There's a couple there. So it is sector diverse at the moment and nothing really clear. When I look at the trend and 10-30 rating tables, there's often, a few stocks at the top that are qualified, and there's a whole lot down there below that not, and that reflects now we've got 42 stock picks, I think, this week, after we lost another 5 this week. So of 160 stocks, so there's not a lot there still. So we come back a little bit, unfortunately. So this is just a snippet of what I look at. It's all covered in the trading centre. We update all our stocks and stock picks each week. So how are your stocks faring? So we just go through a bit of an idea today of what we're looking at. Trading tactics this week, nothing really happening there today, but I am going to focus on 2 words, patience and discipline, which really are the key words at the moment, because we're a bit uncertain at the moment about what's going on. There's not a lot of trend happening in the moment on the indexes, so we get a lot of up-down behaviour on the Dow. So we'll just see where this takes us, but we sort of respond to our trade plan as it happens. Now, let's go straight into the markets. Dow Jones Industrial Average, well, up, down. We're now getting this little point of control area here. We fell below here. We rode up to it. We've come back there. So it's looking a bit like our market. The pressure seems to be down now. We may well be looking for a move down to more this area down here, and you can see down the bottom there, there's plenty of selling appearing there, and momentum has pretty well gone back to neutral. So there's certainly downside pressure there, and the upside seems to have stopped for the moment, run into some big resistance up here at the old highs. Okay, now if we look at the S&P and the Nasdaq, I've been pointing this the last couple of weeks. The S&P is looking okay. It's not looking nearly as weak as the Dow, although it didn't rally as much as the Dow. So it's holding up okay. It's above those lows there we saw at the 3583, sitting around the middle there, between R1 and S1 at the moment, mid-range. So again, we've got plenty of activities here, and there's probably almost a slight bias here. We've got a big tick up there. This is neutral at the moment, the S&P. So the jury's still out, but we're encouraged by what's happening there, despite what's happening today. Nasdaq, the similar picture there. It's trying to form this base here. It got up to this resistance level up around 12,160 and came off there. But we are seeing some fairly constructive volume patterns down here, so we're quite happy about it. And the downside pressure is certainly easing. So, for the Nasdaq, we're reasonably happy with that situation. That's why we're going to look at a few tech stocks this week. That's why the startup page today, I had WiseTech in there, Altium, Pro Medicus. Pro Medicus is actually in the health sector, but it's also a bit of a tech stock in imaging and things like that. So it's benefiting from the new wave of technology. Okay, so now we go to the commodities. Now, gold has had a bit of a run. Okay, but we're not updated from last night, but we're back up around the highs up around here. We still need to get through this resistance. It is big resistance at the moment, but we are reasonably encouraged here. A bit of volume here. Has there been a bit of a change in the markets the last couple of weeks? Well, possibly. So we're going to watch gold here and see if it can get through. It hasn't got through yet, so we'll hold our fire. Patience is that key word again, and discipline on gold. Interest, but still needs to break above here. For me, okay. This volume isn't enormous. There's not a great swathe of volume occurring there. Momentum is very positive. It's above the average. So if I was going to run a trend intensity indicator over that, it would be probably pretty neutral because we still don't have a price break there as yet. Okay, copper. Struggle cities, copper. We've got a little bit of a downward wave here from the last sort of 2 months. It's sort of edging down. No huge selling, but plenty of activity here again. Sellers are dominating on Dr. Copper. So we're still looking at this high as being a resistance level, and we may well come back to S1. And there's positive just on the momentum index. It's still slightly positive, but not a lot of oomph in there at this stage. So we're a little bit neutral on all these things. We're right on the average. This has been two-way. This is sort of easing back. So for copper, we're probably holding our fire on that one as well. And Brent crude, I think it had another good night last night, but it is struggling around here. It's sort of just holding at the moment above the sort of the lower part of this S1 area here. But the sellers are certainly dominating. We've got some sellers killing it right here, and momentum's negative. Again, if I was to run a trend intensity over that, it would certainly be in the -7 to -10 area. So we're still negative Brent crude. It is a clear downtrend. So that's our step back. Look at what we've got. It is in a downtrend, and pressure's on the downside at the moment. Low lows, lower highs at the moment. So that is Brent crude. Our market, well, again, as I say, it's been pretty close with the Dow. It's fallen off that perch a little bit. It broke through this resistance. We had a good day yesterday, and it got back up there, but it'll probably be down again today. So we're sort of looking possibly at this 6474 area. This is a big resistance again, our step back thing. We look at this, we see resistance, and this has come off here. And this has been quite a lot of down weeks here we've had here. And this week may not end up as a positive week at this stage. It's green at the moment, but it'll be down today. So we'll see what happens, but there's certainly pressure there. So again, we're picking the eyes out of the market where we can. We've only got 42 stock picks out of 160 at the moment. So we've got to just be watchful, mindful, patient, disciplined, all those words we need to do, and be careful and to make sure we protect our money as best as we can. Okay, so that's the most of the stocks. What I will just go through quickly is the portfolios. So our stock picks are down 5 this week to 45. 42 stock picks of 160 stocks and 3 ETFs of 21. So that's a bit negative there again. The portfolio update, excuse me, this is showing us really that all of a sudden we've had our wings clipped considerably here in the last week or two. So the conservative portfolio was 4 out of 20. That is only 20% equity, so we're really pulling back there. The Energizer 5 stock has lost 3 stocks the last few weeks, and that is unusual because we've had no stocks in. So we've only got 2 out of 5 there. We're 40% equities there. The Energizer 10 stock is at 7 out of 10, so we've lost 3 there. And the other 2 Energizers, the ones we started recently, August 20, is 3 out of 5. And also the Energizer 5 stock is 4 out of 5. The March 21 is 4 out of 5. So that's unusual for this to happen, and it's not such a very happy picture, unfortunately. So as I say, some of our stops have gone off. We're still protecting. Even though we might be taking a few losses, at least we're not going to take any huge big losses and extend them further for the moment. So we're fairly neutral on that stage there. Okay, so now I guess we want to get into some stocks. We'll do that now. Okay, WiseTech. I talked about WiseTech before. Now I'm trying to look at the stocks individually, not worry too much about the general indexes at the moment. So WiseTech has done bought a few good companies lately, or amalgamated them, or whatever you want to call it, and it's making new highs. It's doing very well. We just get rid of this volume pattern here. You can see really there's quite a lot of volume here. Green bars pushing this price higher, which is good. Momentum is good. The positive, and it's above the average. So it's getting a trend intensity rating of 10 WiseTech. I know it's a high price stock. All I do is report on what I see, and this stock is making new highs. Thus, the trend is up, and thus we follow this one high, and it is a stock pick of ours at the moment. Okay, so WiseTech's looking pretty good. It had a pretty good correction phase through here from 22 through 23. It's now starting to break clear of it. This was a very positive sign that it didn't come back to the low of the range, but it held twice here and has now challenged the upside and is breaking through. So that's a good sign. Now, I've got one for you from left field here. This is an interesting stock, which I haven't really looked at much for a while. But if we just go through here, and here we are, it is Brambles. Okay, now Brambles has been in a long-term trading range since, this is going back to 2019, sitting in. It may stay in here still, we don't know. But it's looking interesting at the moment because if we look at all these highs here, that's resistance, of course, and we've got our lows down here. We're now starting to get a high-low pattern here, and we're breaking into this resistance area here. We're starting to get some very nice volume here. Momentum is strong. So this is looking quite interesting, Brambles. And I don't know why. I don't reason anything. I just look at the behaviour of investors, and this is what they're telling me. They are buying Brambles. Whether they continue to, and we see a breakthrough, well, that'll be nice. It may be the top of the range and it may fail. But for the moment, it's looking pretty good. And if we go right back here, we can see where that, again, an old high there. So that's a pretty big resistance area here we can see. So if we do get through there, that'll be quite an interesting thing, an interesting break for Brambles. So we'll continue to watch this one for you and keep an eye on Stockradar, the trading centre, for any updates on that one there. So WiseTech and Brambles, that's two good stocks. Now I just want to talk a little bit about why our index has been fairly sideways to neutral. It's hovered below that resistance area for a while, and it's now just going sideways. So here we go to look at some of our stocks, and some of our leading stocks. CBA has gone sideways since about the middle of 2021, so a good couple of years there. It tried to break through 110 before. We got stopped out of that one there. Trend intensity rating is now 6, and it moves back towards the below of its trading range at $90. Plenty of activity here, which is pretty negative, and this is also negative from the momentum side. So back to the low of the trading range, and we'll see what happens with Combank there. The next one is Coles. Also, as you know, it is in a trading range. It has been for a while. It sits in the middle there. It's uncertain volume here. We've got quite heightened volume, but there's good red bars, big green bars here. This is slightly turning positive. It's above the average, but this is really the key area we want to see. So trend intensity rating is still neutral at +1. So again, it's another one of those leading stocks that's going sideways. We really need to see this break to new highs to get an idea of what this stock's going to do from here. We're going to resume an uptrend possibly. Okay, CSL, we know this is the really big picture CSL. It really has gone sideways for quite a few years, and its trend intensity rating is 6. It's been trying to get some support here, a bit like Brambles, the high lows. High lows is encouraging, but really ultimately this is really the big test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, however many tests you want to say, this is resistance up here. And that's what we need to see it get through. Okay, that's where the power is going to come from. When it does, we'll be right on board that one there. But for the moment, volume's a bit middling, momentum slightly positive, but really we've got nothing much there. It's not giving us much at this stage, an indication. We just wait for price to tell us. That's the main thing. Rio Tinto is another one, going sideways, trading in this range here. It hit the top of the trading range and is now coming off. Volume's increasing. Momentum, which was positive here, has now started to turn down. It's still positive, but it is saying the upside pressure has slowed quite considerably. Okay, so that's Rio Tinto, another leading stock going sideways. Thus our index is going sideways. Telstra, again, another one. It's looking quite interesting, but it hasn't broken through. So again, we've got a trend intensity rating neutral at -1. Nothing really matters, as I say here, until this breaks. We can have all sorts of indicators down here, and moving average, all sorts of things, but I need price to break to tell me what it's going to do. It looked like it a couple of times he was going to go through. This was quite encouraging. It still is encouraging. We've got some big volume here, but still can't get through. So we're just sort of going to have to, again, patience and discipline, wait and see what happens here, because this is really, these are all going to be great trades when we get them. But we haven't got them at the moment, because the longer this trading range goes on, the better the break, the more leverage the break, the bigger the pressure builds up into the market. So I really get excited about seeing these sorts of charts, because I just need to wait, and I'll wait till I get my break, and then I will go. So who knows what's going to happen. Remember, the stock market trends up for the long term, so we just need to be mindful of that. And I know things are pretty negative at the moment, and people are very worried about a lot of things in the world, but it's really about, markets are about people and how they react to things, and that's really what we're going to look at here, and it's what we try and assess all the time. Okay, the other one, of course, is Transurban, which is a bit like CSL. It's just been going sideways for a long time. Let me just get this chart a bit straightened up here. So it's been trading here between sort of $12.50 and $16.50, or really for the last few years, $15, up and down, not giving us much, unfortunately. Transurban was a wonderful stock for a while, and we all made a lot of money on it, but really for since about 2019, it really has done very, very little. And even at the moment, it's not looking that good. So this whole area up here, I mean, this really is the area down here at about $14, $15, where really these current highs are going. This is the blow off of the old big trend that we had, and it tried and failed. It's come back, and it's now going sideways. And we've got some volume here. That's a big 1 week wonder there, which really didn't do too much. Momentum has just gone on the above the zero line, but nothing really on its own. So again, neutral, trend intensity rating of +1. So unfortunately, some of these leaders are really getting frustrated at the moment, but we just have to watch these ones and wait for things to tell us what they're going to do. The last one is, and this is a cross section of sectors as well, from banks to consumer services to consumer staples, health, metals and mining, telecoms, and here we've got ones which is a transport stock, Transurban Group, and now we've got a property stock, Scentre Group. So everywhere is going sideways at the moment. So this is Scentre Group at the moment. It's tried to break up here a while ago. It failed, came back to the low of the range. It's now come up again and failed again. And we've got some pretty heavy selling here at the moment. And any momentum there is pretty well gone now. So again, amongst the leaders, there's not been a lot there, but there are other things. There are plenty of other stocks out there which we're going to look at shortly. But so that's where you are. That's where we have trouble. The trends will come back at some stage, and that'll be great. But for the moment, they're not there. Okay. Now, so that's those leading stocks, and that's possibly why our index is going a bit neutral. I just want to look at a couple of ones at the moment, a bit disappointing. Firstly, Woodside. We have a look at this chart here, and it's a fairly clear picture when we look at it. It's not that complicated, really. We look at these charts, and if we see what's happening here, Woodside really, the highs up around $37, $39, which were hit in 2018 and 2019. We failed. We came back to $15. We've now had a rally again. Now, we've been on board this one for a while, but it's been very frustrating, this whole rally. And it's just finally this resistance. It tried once, tried twice, tried 3 times, and now with the pressure on crude oil, it's now come off, and that certainly is a breakdown for us. So we're out of this stock now. Couldn't break through, so now we're out. We've got a bit of volume appearing here. If I just squeeze this up a little bit, you can just see there's quite a bit of volume coming through here. And this momentum index, momentum is pretty well gone out of this stock now. So who knows what's going to happen, but I neutralised because the uptrend is not developed further. If it got through 37.39, we would be happy, but it hasn't done. Trend intensity rating is now -4. Another stock I want to comment on is Linus, which is it's a little bit about the stock market and where it sits and how it perceives things. There's a lot of bullish talk about rare earths, still is in bullish talk, but at the moment that's not what the stock is doing. So it had a huge rally from 2020 down around $1, and it rallied to about $11 in about 2 years. Okay, so that was a pretty good trend. Okay, and talk has still always been positive, and I even know recently they're talking about rare earths coming out of China and things like that. But finally, this stock really now, after trading around this range between 11 and 7 for a while, in these lower highs really gave a bit of a sign that there was weakness in this market. So what's happened now is come down and it's tested this low and it's failed, and volume has gone through the roof, and momentum has dived. So really the rare earths, which were bullish apparently, the Linus is not confirming that. So the price never lies. So that's really what you've got to look at. Got my special t-shirt on, the price never lies, because that's what we're really looking at. That's a reflection of you, the people who invest in these stocks. And it is interesting how we talk about the stock market, how it's always 6 months, 12 months ahead of thoughts, and this is what really happened here. It had a big uptrend, but really, since it hit the highs about $11, it's really been negative. And now it's coming down here. Now the opportunity will come, because that's always happens when we look for opportunities. We're talking about our downtrodden stocks. Linus Rare Earths is probably going to come right down and do a nice little trend reversal and come back up again, because it is a good stock. Rare earths are good, but for the moment they're out of favour and people aren't buying this stock. Trend intensity rating is -10. Stay away from Linus, for God's sake. Okay, that's what I was talking about, that one. Okay, so now So as I said before, we focus on the opportunities we have. Things like Brambles and WiseTech. Stranger things have happened. The stock market will always deliver what we least expect. So even though we can be negative at the moment and worry, there's always things to worry about. There always will be opportunities. Just say Brambles did break through. Well, that'll be an interesting situation because some stocks can have the ability to go against the trend of the index. And remember, the index is about 20 stocks basically that make up that index. The other stocks can move around and they won't even affect the index. So that's Linus. Now I'm going to get into a few that may be looking interesting for you, okay, because that's what we really want to see. Okay, so Sonic Health, okay, it's come off 33% high to low, okay, came back to a big sort of point of control area. A point of control area is where I have resistance, becomes support, becomes resistance, becomes support, and the markets trade around and through it. So at the moment we've had resistance here, it traded through it, it came back, found support, rallied up, came back, found support for a while. We had a real test back here, but it seems to be holding because we're getting some very, very good activity here, both buying and selling, but the buyers are dominating because the price is rising, okay? So at this stage, Sonic Healthcare rates trend intensity rating +1. Hasn't clearly broken through yet. It is very interesting at the moment what's happening because we have had a 33% correction on a very good health stock. The demographic is sound and they will run again. We've had good volume and now momentum is starting to come back towards that zero level. So this one is certainly worth watching, even though we're downtrend, and this creates the negative sentiment, but the price will always move before the sentiment, then the sentiment will get positive again. And that's how it works. Okay, so Sonic Healthcare is probably one to watch. Keep an eye on the trading centre for any signals on Sonic Healthcare. Okay, now on the gold area, we haven't really been involved too much in gold, and our big stock, Newcrest, we're disqualified from that because it's under offer from Newmont. But so really, Northern Star is probably the next one we want to look at. There's a few other stocks, but we don't hold any of them at the moment. This stock here, if you must do something in the gold sector, this break back above here might be a signal. Whether we get there or not, I don't know, but this is all fairly wishy-washy sort of movement. It's always very hard to read, but if it did get through here, it could run to R1. Trend intensity is still rating is still -3, so it's not positive. It is above the average. There's a bit of volume there. The momentum is positive, although it's coming right back, but we don't have any price signals for us to go through yet. I must have a trend reversal to tell me that the price is going to rise. This has risen pretty suddenly. I can't follow those ones. I have to wait for I get verification of a trend reversal. So especially for a gold sector, because this can come down just as easy. It goes up because they're volatile and they're dangerous. So for Northern Star, if you must, above here might be interesting, but for the moment we're still neutral. And remember, gold is still below that resistance area. I think it's about 2,000 US. So we're not really that excited just yet. We've seen a little bit of a change there, but nothing really significant. Okay, so that's gold. What I want to look at is another one, and now Zero, which is a very, very good stock fundamentally, I hear. Not that I know, because it's not my bag, but it did have a big top up here which failed, and again, what happens when it's failed, people get negative and then it comes right back down. Now, it's come down 50%, okay, from high to low, 150 down about 75 or just below, in fact, probably a little bit more almost, but now we're starting to get some interest in here. So if I just blow this up a little bit in the volume side especially, we can start to see what's going on here, because it hit the bottom here, so it's almost like a double bottom here. We've got some very, very good volume, always a good sign of a base here. When all this selling doesn't drive the price down too hard, then the buying starts to come in and starts to push the price higher. Even this little selling wave here didn't really dent the price too much, and the buyers came straight back in. So this one is certainly on our watch file. Trend intensity rating was -5 last week, so it's still got a way to go, but it's looking very interesting. It's developing a base. Remember that Nasdaq that I'm looking at? So some of those stocks that are driven a little bit by the Nasdaq, like Zero and WiseTech, are certainly things that I'm interested in at the moment, because that's where I possibly see some value. And again, if you look at the American market, some of those stocks like Google and Amazon, Facebook and Netflix, they just came off so far. Everyone was so bullish, and they've come off a long, long way. So I reckon there's a few little opportunities there, even in the US market, but also in our market. We've got a few little techie stocks that are worth following, that will follow the Nasdaq if it goes higher. So keep an eye on Zero, keep an eye on the trading centre, and it might we might get a nice little signal on this one soon. A developing base, which I always like, and this volume here is really good. So I'm happy with all that for the moment, and pressure is easing on the momentum side, so it's almost back to neutral, so that's a good one. Okay, the next one I want to go through, this is one I looked at a while ago. I looked at a few listings a while ago and a few demerger stocks like the Terra Royalties, PEXA, the Lottery Corporation. And they're sort of, they're interesting stocks because when they list, they get a bit uncertain, they jump about a little bit, and then we start to get a pattern of behaviour. So we've had a pattern of behaviour for PEXA, which is a monopoly stock. Whether it was priced too high or not, I don't know, but it's come all the way back from $20 back to $11, which is quite a drop. But what we've got here now is a very interesting picture for me. Okay. We've got a low here at $11. This was back in June 22. We've had a rally. We've come back here. We've tested this twice. Okay, and this is the low point here we've had. And now we're starting to get some volume. And this little rally here, we see a bit of volume. This little bit of selling here, pushed it back down, but the buying's come back in here. So this is very early days yet. If I was a real buy and weakness trader, I'd probably look at this one pretty seriously. But I need a bit of a turn for me. So we like the volume patterns here. This is still negative, okay? And also we're below the average. So we need to break a couple of areas on this one here. Opportunity knocks here. We've got a bit of resistance here and the next resistance up there. You have to monitor this one on the trading center to see where we're going. Trend intensity rating is still -8, but I think it's a very interesting stock, this one, and probably driven a little bit by new listing sentiment, maybe price too high. But I think now we're starting to see, and this becomes a bit of a low risk sort of base here because we're starting to see some good volume support come into this area from a big correction. So it looks very interesting to me, PEXA, so I'm watching this one closely with some signals on that. Okay, now finally, to finish off this week for stocks, we're going to look at Rhea Group, which is also looking very interesting to me. So let me just shrink this one up a little bit. Okay, so this is Rhea Group. Now, okay, so we've got a low down here, we have a rally, we come back here to create a higher low, and now we're seeing a rally. So on a price basis, we're really looking at R1 as possible trigger for a reversal for Rhea Group. We've got the low here, the high point, the rally back, and then it clicks through here, that creates a trend reversal above R1. Okay, then we go and look for trend reversal structure we have in place. It is above the average. Okay, it's now trading above the average. It was below, it started to turn, it's now above the average. We're now getting some good volume expansion down here, which looks excellent to me, which means demand, buying, greater than selling, pushing the price up. That's what we look for. And now we're getting momentum is starting to push above the zero level. So it's a bit better. So things are starting to turn for this one again. The way we trade, we don't listen to the news, we don't listen to experts, we don't listen to opinions, we follow what we do here. We have a trend reversal structure, it's above the average, volume's expanding, momentum turning is positive, so we're just waiting for that price signal to tell us when to buy. Trend intensity rating is still 0, it'll probably be a bit better this week. Whether we break through there after what happens today, I don't know. But again, blink us on, focus on what we're doing. We have a trade plan for a reason, so we don't have to listen to everybody else. And someone says buy, someone says sell, all these different things go on. We have our own opinion because we base it on our own trade plan and our own rules. And their rules are very simple for us. So Rhea Group is one that we're watching very carefully, and I like the look of this pattern at the moment. Okay, so that's all the stocks I've got for you today. That's about it. So let's go across to trading tactics, which is only a very brief one today. I just really wanted to confirm because we are in a difficult spot at the moment. People worry about a lot of things, but really the state of our market. Okay, so firstly what I'm going to talk about is a little bit about risk. I don't like risk very much. I don't like losing money. I don't trade down the smaller end of the market because it's too volatile, it's too hard. A lot of people can trade that because they know what's going on down there. I don't know what's going on down there because I look at volumes, I look at price action on big stocks that can't be sort of manipulated and traded. So I stay in the top 160 stock area. They're less likely to have big drops and things like that, although they can occasionally, but it's all about reducing risk. Okay, so I can't keep, this is my sectors and these are my stocks here. We keep the data universe nice and tight, safe and simple, okay? Now the map of the market here has the sectors down here, the stocks we hold, and if you go to the trading standard on Stockradar, you'll get all the stocks that we actually hold in these sectors at the moment, okay? So it's just about being safe all the time, always trying to reduce the risk, which is the primary issue when I'm trading. So at 160 top stocks, it's always about risk reduction. State of the market. Okay, a little bit about what's happening. Newsletter will come out later on next week. I'm working on that at the moment. Talking a little bit about perspective, a little bit about brokerage, a bit about why we trade and what signals we get. So we'll be looking at the health stocks next week. We currently have 4 stock picks in the health sector. It will be the focus in our March edition of the Radar newsletter coming out later on next week. And it's an interesting sector because it has come off a bit and there are some opportunities coming in there. And I know Pro Medicus stays in that sector, and that is one of our stock picks. It's the crossover between, health, technology, whatever you want to call it, but I don't really mind which sector it puts in. I just want to look at the stock specific price. This is really a matter of organising my stocks, why I have all the sectors set up, my own sectors set up, and put them into groups, just to give an idea of organisation stuff. Okay, so the focus, which is vital right now at the moment. You must have patience, you must have discipline, you must listen to your stops, you must take these signals. This guy here is having a little ride on his snail because he's just being very, very patient and very, very disciplined about what's happening. The little hare can run off and do all sorts of different things, but this guy's just a solid guy. He's tough. He's going to do exactly what he's told, and that's what you have to do in these markets. So, it's I get all sorts of questions about, well, what if? Well, okay, what if? But you need to look at that trade plan that you're following and the rules that you have, and you may not like mine. I mean, really, the trade plan I have is based on things like system, processes, risk reduction, which every trade plan must have in it if it's going to be successful. So I just use my price and I use my trading plan to overlay on top of those things like risk reduction, systems, processes, all that sort of stuff. So that's a bit about what I'm doing at the moment. The market is tough at the moment, no doubt. We don't have a lot of stock picks in there, but there are always opportunities, and we've got to take them when they come because we see a stock break up. We say, I don't want to take it because I'm a bit nervous, but you really should because it will pay off in the end. Okay, so as I said, I have really no interest in anyone's opinion except my own. That might seem a little bit egotistical, but really I have to be like that because if I did listen to everybody, I wouldn't do anything. I would worry about the world ending, all sorts of things. So I just look at what I do. I maintain focus on your designated decision-making tools. Okay, if you decide to subscribe to Stockradar, you do that on the basis of what I'm going to do. You might just use me as perspective. You might follow me religiously, but these are, that I showed you before, price, volume, moving averages, momentum is what I use to make my decisions. Price primarily. Okay, so maintain focus on your designated decision-making tools. Time will tell what happens in this market. Panic will not. Fear is only an emotion, okay? So panic doesn't help you at all. It just it will frustrate you, drive you mad, gives you stress. We've got to be relaxed in this market. Fear is only an emotion. I talk about perspective all the time, stepping back, taking a look at things to keep things easy. So there is always something to worry about, and there are always opportunities. What do you do? Well, the answer is you have only one choice, follow your plan. Don't be scared and have faith in yourself if you're doing it. If you're going to be in this game, do it properly. Make sure you have good trade plans. Make sure you have good decision-making skills because these are all really, really important to do. So have patience and be disciplined is what you need to do. So that's it for today. Stay safe, watch your trends, heed your stops, give me a call if you need a chat, and I'll be right back next week to see where we are next week after what's been happening at the moment. Okay? Thanks very much, and I'll see you next week.